Fools like them, they suss me out and then they ghost. Girls like me, I like a magnet to a knife.
All right, y'all. We need to talk. Are wash and goes canceled? Because the internet is coming for the type 4s, the tight, curly, kinky, coily hair types. Um, Mainly because there's so much manipulation. They're saying that it causes too much breakage, and it's a struggle when it comes to length retention. But is that really true? Or do we just need to change how we're doing the wash and go? Let's get into it. So, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Aubrey, and I help my type 4 or coily, kinky, tight, curly sisters to navigate this world of hair care in a way that actually will work for our hair textures. And today we're breaking down why wash and goes, uh, why they get such a bad rep, and most importantly, how can we make them healthier for our hair without giving them up? Let's keep it real. Wash and goes on the tighter textures have traditionally been all about the, the look, the aesthetics, rather than the health of the hair. If we're honest, we've been chasing long lasting, defined curls without really thinking about how this affects the strands of the hair. That has been the crux of a lot of the issues that we've been talking about for the past 2 years, I might add. But this is where the real problem starts. So, here are the top 3 common issues with the wash and goes for the tighter textures. Number 1, too much emphasis on definition and longevity, not enough on moisture. We got that. Number 2, applying gel directly to dry or barely moisturized hair, which in turn will equal dryness and breakage. Now, number 3, more manipulation equals less retention. So for years, we've been prioritizing definition over the hydration and moisturization. We had the hydration part right, but the moisture is what seals that hydration in. We were slapping gels onto our strands without proper moisture layering, and then expecting our curls to last a full week with no refresh, or for some, 14 days. That's been the goal. That's been, you know, let's see how long we can keep our curls defined for 14 days. And so the harder the gel cast, the more we loved it. The more anti-humectants that we use, the more we loved it. Because honestly, we just didn't want to redo any hair. So this for type 4 hair is very problematic, because our hair, and I'm using type 4 because, of course, professionally speaking, I don't type hair, but just for the sake of argument, for us being able to speak the same language, this particular hair, tighter textures, curly, tight, has more elliptical in our strands, and there's more points for breakage along that strand. And then you add actually more dryness to hair that's actually prone to dryness, and then that's a recipe for disaster, which has been noted already. So, how do we need to change our approach? Well, instead of focusing on making wash and goes last forever, ever, hey, sorry, Miss Jackson, I am for real. I couldn't resist that. We just need to shift our focus. we need to really think about moisture layering. Yes, moisture layering. Instead of applying the gel directly, and this is probably not new, this is what people were doing before Cut It Kinky. Back in the day, we were using the plasticizing gels, but we also layered. We were layering. We were layering a hydrating leave-in. We were putting maybe even a moisturizing, creamy moisturizer on top of the hydrating leave-in, and then the gel. Whew, child, I'm having a flash. But anyway, this way your hairstyle stays hydrated underneath all that definition. Ooh, let me go get a fan. Hold on. Y'all see how committed I am to getting this video out to y'all, even through a hot flash. Number two, we did number one. We started to layer and be more focused on moisture. How about we do this? Refresh more often. Instead of trying to get that 7-day or 14 days like some of y'all, refresh your hair midweek. The very thing that we said we weren't going to do. Why don't we do a light mist of water or a leave-in to keep the moisture levels up? We can do that, can't we? Yes, we can. Even if it causes a little bit of frizz, guess what? Functional frizz is where it's at. We can do this. We can do this. And then how about we adjust our drying methods? Air drying or diffusing, which one? Well, if you air dry, you're gonna add a humidity friendly leave-in. If you diffuse, don't overdo it. Just leave some flexibility in the curls. Don't do the crunch, crunch, crunch. And if you're hood drying, just stay under there long enough to get that little, you know, cast, just a little bit of the cast. Ooh-cha. Okay, yes. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. You know, length retention. Wash and goes have been criticized for type 4 hair, the tighter, kinkier, coily hair, because they have been stated to cause more breakage and compared to a protective style like twist or braids. We're not talking about with synthetic hair. We're talking about a braid down or individual braids with your own hair. And honestly, that's partially true. You know, let's talk about it. 3 things. If we're comparing protective styles, they keep the ends tucked. When your ends are exposed and manipulated more often, there's a higher chance of breakage. I can't really debate that. It's true. So with protective styles, your ends stay tucked, they stay moisturized for longer periods, and that always helps with length retention. Always. Hair out versus in, and the oldest part of the hair, the grandmamas of the hair, they get that love, they stay moisturized, and they stay tucked away. The hair is going to be retained. So, number 2, wash and goes. They really require more gentle handling. It doesn't mean that wash and goes automatically kill your length. Um, it just means you have to be very intentional with how you handle your hair. If you're doing weekly wash and goes, you need to counterbalance that with very gentle detangling, moisture layering, and low manipulation refreshes. So if I was to go over my hair with a little bit more of a refresh, to go back in and try to redefine that hair might also cause a little bit more manipulation, i.e., it could lead to some breakage or splitting because of the manipulation, especially if you are using a brush. So you don't want to manipulate hair in its dry state. You always want to have hair that has some level of slip when you go in to manipulate that hair. And also, let's talk about this, the scalp. It still matters, y'all. Let's not forget that the wash and goes, they do keep the scalp cleaner and more hydrated compared to some protective styles. So that's an advantage because the buildup over a long period of time, it can, lead to clogged follicles depending on what products that you're using, of course. Now, all of that has to be balanced out so we can have a very clear picture of the pros and the cons of each. So after all of this, are wash and goes really canceled? The answer is no. We we love our wash and goes. We have mastered them, some of us. Some of us probably don't need to revisit them ever, simply because they just not for us. They have done more damage than not. And so for now, your particular hair type, your characteristics, your essential elements, if you will, lend itself to more twist outs, perhaps, more flat twisting, more tucked ins, just because your hair cannot handle the manipulation. So, just to recap, we're going to concentrate on moisture first, gentle handling, and realistic expectations for length retention. That's the reality. Wash and goes, can they still be healthy options? Relatively speaking, I think we need to mitigate our expectations of them, because if you compare a 3-year hiatus of protective styling, and I'm talking about true protective styling, not where your edges and your crowns are snatched. I'm talking about true low tension, low manipulation styling with 3 years of wash and go. I know the data would prove to be true. The protective styling will beat, hands down, every single day of the week, the wash and go styling. So there it is. So tell me, how do you do your wash and goes? Is it something that you're going to continue to do? Are you team wash and go, or have you completely given up on them? Drop your thoughts in the comments for me. Let's talk about it. And if you found this video helpful to you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and also turn on your notifications so you can always know when there's a new upload. And I don't want you to miss my next deep dive on this hair care for our tight curls. And I'll see y'all in the next